Greetings, and welcome to the Sawyer-Kaplan Museum of Art and Antiquities. Join me, Lily Sawyer-Kaplan, curator and director on a tour through history, told through paintbrushes, oil, and canvas. Press 1 to explore our inaugural exhibit, Carracci and Caravaggio, the Beautiful and the Real. Now, walk up the center staircase, and on your right, Carracci and Caravaggio, the Beautiful and the Real, awaits you. Immerse yourself in Rome, year 1600. This year marked the death of Mannerism. Both Carracci and Caravaggio styled their work in reaction to this previous movement. Before you begin your tour, take a moment to look at Deposition, painted by the Mannerist artist Pontormo in 1528. He has emphasized the uncomfortable, distended bodies of his subjects and created an unstable composition. Instead of relying on the distinctly Renaissance composition of a triangle, Pontormo has organized the figures into a diamond-like shape, which does not strike the same harmony and accentuates the distorted bodies. These artistic choices are representative of Mannerism, which sought to rebel against the Renaissance ideal of perfectly constructed forms and naturalism. Enter the galleries and look upwards to see the triumph of Bacchus and Ariadne. We are proud to display this 1597 Carracci masterpiece, a quadro riportato from the Farnese Gallery in Rome, now the French Embassy. While the embassy undergoes renovation, the Italian government has kindly loaned us its work for the exhibition. When Carracci arrived in Rome from northern Italy, the works of Renaissance masters such as Michelangelo and Raphael captivated him. This work is classical in subject and composition, with the classical ideals evident in the forms. Note the muscular and powerful bodies. The fresco, particularly the white chariot pulled by two white horses, recalls the triumphant and celebratory parades of imperial Rome. The Renaissance period was a return to the classical, and therefore focused on the splendor and achievements of the Roman and Greek civilizations. The Baroque period saw a return to a naturalistic style. For Carracci, as you can see in the triumph of Bacchus and Ariadne, that meant a return to the classical concept of beauty. Now look directly in front of you at Caravaggio's The Calling of St. Matthew. He captures the moment when Christ inspires Matthew to follow him. This is Rome in 1600, not Zeus's ancient Greece, and not Michelangelo's Rome of 1500. The men are young and old. They are well dressed, and they are poor. There is a place left open at the table for the contemporary viewer. Come and join these men in their divine experience. Next, we look to Supper at Emmaus, which presents a similar portrait of Christianity. These are everyday men, with soiled clothes and ragged faces, partaking in this moment as they dine with Jesus. Similarly present in the Calling of St. Matthew, there is a seat open at the table for the audience to embark upon the spiritual experience. In both paintings, the use of light from indirect sources heightens the intensity and immediacy of these works. He organizes the subjects of these two paintings in semicircles, creating a sense that the viewer is present and participating in these divine experiences. With his 1605 painting Madonna di Loreto, Caravaggio explores this concept of engaging the viewer in the religious experience. Two common people with ragged clothes and dirty feet that practically hang out of the frame have a vision of Christ and Mary. Although beautiful, Mary could be any woman emerging from a decrepit building in the midst of night shadows. The only thing that denotes her holy status is a subtle halo. Caravaggio intended for his works to pack an emotional punch, as we see in a second portrait of Mary, the Death of the Virgin. Instead of depicting Mary like an ageless angel, as most previous artists had done, he painted her as a tangible, mortal woman. She dies not by ascension into heaven, but by a natural bodily end. Regard the sprawling body, the swollen feet. Once again, Caravaggio arranges the mourning figures in a half circle. He draws us into the scene as if it were real life. Caravaggio's version of naturalism emphasizes psychological realism. He explored this theme more deeply in his later works, such as The Denial of St. Peter. Instead of perfecting the color palette and the features, he focuses on the intensity of the human drama in Peter's face, and the three pointing fingers, each representing the three accusations and three subsequent denials of his connection to Christ. These elements pull us into the scene through the psychological and dramatic narrative. Now, enter the gallery to your left and look upward upon Venus in Anchises, another work from Carracci's Palazzo Farnese. While Caravaggio's paintings invite the viewer in, we are kept at a distance from Carracci's work by the simple construction of the high palazzo ceilings, as well as the tight, plain-like scene. The shape of Venus's body reflects the societal ideals of beauty at the time. The figures that frame the image directly recall Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel. The view outside the window, as well as the inscription on the footstool that translates "From whence Rome came," directly connects the paintings to one of the founding myths of the Roman Empire. The subject itself is a direct reassertion of the Renaissance. The style of Carracci became the prominent one during the Baroque period, with artists such as Bernini, Rubens, and Poussin following in his footsteps. During the subsequent Age of Enlightenment and Neoclassical period, this style of idealized and classicized historical and mythical scenes firmly took hold. Only a few centuries later was the impact of Caravaggio's art on his successors realized. How was it that these two men, both who rejected mannerism, both who worked under a rejuvenated Catholic Church, and both who painted at the same time, could produce such divergent art? Why are some artists valued during their lifetimes and then forgotten, or ignored and then renowned? Perhaps art is an accident. Were these contrasting developments inevitable? No. It is merely the everyday choices and inspirations, both conscious and unconscious, of men and women that drive history, and notably the history of art.